What is uranium? How can it affect me? We're taking a look at the uranium drinking water fact sheet from Southwest and Devon to understand more. So uranium is a naturally occurring metal which is widespread in nature and is present in the ocean, certain types of soils, rocks, and especially granite. Natural uranium is also released into the environment from various activities such as the use of phosphate, fertilizers, mining, and combustion from coal and other fuels. And uranium levels are naturally high in many areas in the UK, particularly where radon levels are high and underlying rock is predominantly granite. Natural uranium decays to release radon gas into the environment in other parts of the world, especially in certain areas of the US and Canada. Natural uranium levels in water are particularly high due to sedimentary rocks. And most exposure to natural uranium is from food and water, and to a certain extent from air. These exposures can be through the air we breathe, food, and drink, and to a lesser extent through the skin. Adverse health effects from natural uranium can be from its radioactive properties or chemical properties, and radioactive effects are very small from natural uranium. Chemically, it can be harmful to kidneys and large exposures. So what are the health effects? Well, studies of humans exposed to abnormally high levels of uranium and laboratory animal studies show that uranium can be chemically toxic to the kidneys. And there also have been a few studies addressing long-term low-level exposure of the kind to be associated with exposure to uranium in drinking water in the UK. And studies in other parts of the world where levels of uranium water are much higher than those detected in West Devon have not shown to be an increased risk of kidney disease. However, these studies suggest that there may be minor damage to kidney tissue, which does not affect kidney function at those higher levels. We would not expect to see the evidence of increased risk of kidney damage associated with the levels of uranium in drinking water in West Devon, and the prevalence of kidney failure similar to that in areas not affected by uranium in Southwest. There is no evidence to suggest the exposure to low levels of naturally occurring uranium is associated with cancer. And uranium is radioactive, but your exposure to radioactivity from the uranium in drinking water is insignificantly compared with your everyday exposure to radioactivity from natural sources in your environment. How does it affect water and food? In children? Well, small amounts of natural uranium present in food, especially shellfish and other fish, fresh vegetables, and cereals. Most people are exposed to no more than 3 micrograms of uranium from food. Although uranium is present in fresh vegetables, it's unlikely that growing them in soil with high amounts of natural uranium will lead to increased exposure. And a small amount of soil will be removed with normal washing and peeling of vegetables. Then we have uranium in water. The natural weathering of rocks such as granite in the Southwest dissolves the natural uranium, which goes into the groundwater, and once the water uranium does not transfer into the air, uranium can be present in water supplies and is not present in the sources of Maine's water in Devon and Cornwall. The World Health Organization recommends uranium in drinking water should not exceed 2 micrograms per liter. However, in the U.S., they recommend the level is 20. These levels are set to represent a concentration that does not result in any significant risk to health over a lifetime of drinking water. There are no European or UK recommended levels. And the WHO evaluation for uranium concentration in drinking water is based on tolerable daily intake and about 0.6 milligrams per body weight, and the TDI is an estimate of the amount that can be consumed daily over a lifetime without health risk, and this is an average for an adult weighing 60 kilograms. And the intake of uranium from food is usually below 30 micrograms per day. Typically for water, consumption of 2 liters per day, the WHO limit of that leaves a considerable safety margin. Then there's the kids and the natural uranium exposure. Children may be more susceptible to the health effects from exposure to large amounts of natural uranium. However, results from the initial study in the Southwest suggest that levels are unlikely to be high enough to affect children. And animal studies suggest that the ball-feeding babies, the water levels found in this study is unlikely to cause harm, and there have been no human studies. So that's a good overall look at uranium in drinking water. Still, it's a problem. It can affect your kidneys. That's why it's always a good idea to periodically test for high levels of it.